Hello, this is Debra Cohen, and I'm so glad you're listening, whether it's live on YouTube. My handle live on YouTube is at Jewish Rock Music, or on IG, aka Instagram. The handle there is Debra Cohen Music, DOTCOM. And on LinkedIn, I also stream live there on my profile, Debra Cohen Music. So today's topic is going to be interesting, at least it is for me, how movement affects our health as well as music. I'll be sharing from the book, I Heard There Was a Secret Chord. And if you are watching, please tell me in the chat. I'm looking at the chat on YouTube and Instagram. Please tell me where you're watching from. This is December 1st. 2024, and you are watching A Story and a Song by yours truly, Debra Cohen. And I'll be right back after this message. So, this is A Story and a Song with Debra Cohen, sharing music from the 80s new wave genre to music for TV, film, and movies, as well as praise music suitable for Jewish and Christian soft rock. I share the story behind the recording of each song, as well as wisdom teachings from rabbinic sages and health topics for better senior living in the land of Florida. Please share this podcast and help it grow. Thank you. DebraCohenMusic.com. And this is Debra Cohen, and let's see, it's saying, yes, okay. And I just want to tell you, I just celebrated yesterday, November 30th, my 70th birthday. I mean, can I get an applause? Thank you so much. And, I found a secret in the Bible that tells me we can be, as women, beautiful as we age. Now, I haven't had a facelift yet. I want to look as young as Cher when I get to be in my 80s. But I'll take what I've got right now and try to keep the youthful, energetic look as long as I can. Part of how I stay youthful, of course, is it begins in the mind. And also you're practicing emunah, your faith. Your faith walk has a lot to do with it, but also how you do your faith walk, meaning singing. It's all about singing, not only for the physiological benefits of breath work, but also building up your soul. Your soul needs food also. I'm not talking about soul food. I'm not talking about that kind of. I'm talking about prayers are what feed your soul. And that helps your visage because it shines through your face. Just like it did with Moshe Rabbeinu. We spent 40 days with Hashem on Mount Sinai, and he came down. His face shone so bright, they had to put a cover over his face. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of living I want to do. Yes, and I hope that you do too. So, also, I just want to say that this year, 2024, Christmas and Hanukkah are on the same days. But I also want to say, before I finish that statement, let me just say, I'd like you to check out my merch on my Amazon artist profile because there are gifts on my artist page, Debra Cohen Music. If you scroll down past my music, at the bottom, there's some merch there. Unfortunately, they don't have all 1,300 items that I have posted. So this QR code will get you there, if I can get my thumb out of it. If you want to get your QR reader out there, if you're on Amazon. If you don't like shopping Amazon, then no worries. You can go to Redbubble, and there's the QR code if you're watching for Redbubble. And there are things on there that you can get as gifts, which will also benefit me as an indie artist. So thank you for at least checking it out. And lastly, yes, I finished my birthday for number 70H, meaning 70. But also it's Rosh Chodesh Kislev, which started on sundown of my birthday, November 30th. And I might, at the end of this broadcast, share something about Kislev if you're honoring the lunar calendar. And I want to thank Olivia Custom Made is in the house at IG. And we're going to get digging in. And this is from the book, I Heard There Was a Secret Chord by Daniel Levitin. All right. Movements and disorders. And also, I do teach online yoga for older adults like me, or people recovering from an injury like me. And you can find that it's for size-inclusive people like me. You know, in my day and age, they used to call it pleasingly plump. I never liked that word. I mean, but it's called, in the fitness world, size-inclusive. So if you're one of these people like me that just totally, your body got fatter during COVID, let's just call it what it is. I'm trying to get back after a torn meniscus on top of the weight gain. And who, if you're a fat chick like me, wants to go to a workout clinic, or what do they call it, fitness center? And, and you look like roly-poly. Yeah, Laura's in the house at YouTube, cuddly. And I mean, I'm not going to work out in front of all these like jocks. So go online at well.burnalong.com and look for the instructor, Debra Cohen, and you can see me in all my fatness trying to motivate myself, which is why I teach these classes, because I'm not motivated, But if I want to be able to move when I'm older and, like not depend on a railing to get up off the toilet. Come on. Nobody talks about it, but it's the truth. I'm telling you. It's like a different world when you're a senior citizen. So anyway, Laura says, happy birthday and many more. Thank you, Laura. You're such a blessing to me. And so are you, Olivia. Okay, so let's talk about this. Movement disorders and neurological diseases were described by the Babylonians as long ago as the 2nd century BCE. And although they knew little about the brain, their descriptions are strikingly similar to what you'd read in a 21st century neurology textbook, as are the descriptions of motor system movement disorders that appear in the Bible. Whoa, can you believe that? I mean, I'm interested. I hope you are right now. In the story of young David slaying the giant Goliath in 1 Samuel 17, we learn that Goliath was, quote, ponderous and moved slowly, end quote. Check it out. You lose something, or you miss something. If you don't read the Bible in Hebrew, then you miss all these little nuggets because something gets lost in the translation into English, even in the Bible, unfortunately. Here's an example. Did you know that Goliath was ponderous and moved slowly? Well, neurologic historians have concluded that his giantism, which is called acromegaly, I didn't know that, acromegaly, was likely the result of a rare, large, growth hormone secreting pituitary tumor. What? What? Well, let's read on. In its later stages, the disease causes weakness, numbness, and pain to the degree that Goliath might not have been able to dodge David's I'm getting tongue twisted because I'm so excited. It may not be able to dodge David's slingshot. There you have it. Huh? Okay. He may not even have seen it. Pituitary tumors cause tunnel vision due to their pressing on the optic nerve. In Kings, we're talking about the book of Kings, and then centuries later in Matthew, Mark, and John, aka the Gospels, there are over a dozen mentions of movement disorders and paralysis. Can you believe it? Now, I don't ascribe necessarily to the Brit Chadashah, but there's some information in there because it's recorded at the time of Jewish history. It was written by the Jews because we know the disciples were Jewish, and so was Jesus was a Jewish rabbi. Okay, so let's dig into this. Whoa. Movement is the fundamental attribute that separates animals from rocks and minerals. And although plants move, they do so very slowly. In varying degrees, from the sloth to the roadrunner and the ant to the elephant, every animal has the power of movement, driven by what is at least a rudimentary motor system in the brain. That system doesn't always work, and movement disorders can occur as a result of genetics, incomplete brain development, dis-ease, injury, or environmental toxins. Scott Grafton is a clinical neurologist and researcher studying the neuroscience of movement. And as a side note, he's also a piano, banjo, and bass player. Oh, I love bass players. By the time you read this, for all I know, in this book that I'm sharing with you, he will have mastered the tuba. That's supposed to be laughter. I wonder if I have the sound of laughter in my bag of sounds. I don't think I do. I'm going to have to look for that. Okay. Scott has shown that a huge part of what we think of as intelligence is the result of moving about, touching things, and getting feedback from these actions. The idea is that all cognition is embodied or derived from physical engagement and interacting with the world. I'm going to have a sip of Joe and interact with my cup. Okay. Learning through active movement is entirely different from learning by passively thinking, seeing, or hearing the world. Touching, feeling, manipulating, transversing, breaking, grabbing, pounding, caressing, and climbing and falling are just some of the ways that action yields knowledge of a wholly different kind than we can get by reading, listening to a lecture, or watching this video. Scott explains that physical intelligence is profoundly different from, say, the instantaneous remembrance of a face, name, or phone number. He reflects on the evolution of such skills formed tens of thousands of years ago by humans and proto-humans trying to survive in the wild. That world was physically challenging and complex, characterized by palpable tension arising from an inability to predict what might happen and few means for maintaining control. Here were perfect conditions for improvising, inventing, and enduring some of the most rigorous demands of the wilderness. Although the wild is uncontrolled, physical intelligence provides the means to establish a sense of control. The mental capacities and neural circuits we use when we move and when we learn from that movement are, more than anything, different kinds of learning machines in the brain. What this means, practically speaking, is that if we don't regularly exercise, I hope my husband is watching right now. Let me say that again, dearie, in case you weren't paying attention. What this means, practically speaking, is that if we don't regularly exercise this capacity, not only will it weaken, but we will be weakening a large portion of our brains. All these different things we do with our bodies create cognitive reserve and bolster even non-movement capacities such as general memory and problem-solving skills. I mean, okay, so are you senior citizens that are listening to this? Sitting in your rocking chair, I mean, yeah, you're going to move your ankles a little bit or your feet, but you get to start moving your arms too, I'm afraid, unless you want those. I'm going to say this. When I was, I don't know how old I was. Anyway, some of you might remember Lucille Ball, the Lucy and Desi show. And so one of her favorite sayings that I used to laugh at in the 4th grade, because my teacher's name was Mrs. Manning. And when she would we used to have like a chalkboard, like this was in the 60s. And she'd start, writing on the board, and us little 4th graders are sitting behind her in the classroom. And she'd start writing up a storm. Of course, I'm lefty, but she was righty. And I would just sit there and look at her like arms that were flapping. It looked like, I don't know if you've ever seen elephantitis. I mean, this is a terrible disease, but she had like such a big load of adipose tissue there that it flapped when I thought, oh, what is that? It wasn't pretty. I was like looking at it as a little child thinking, how come her arms look like that? But, I didn't dare ask. Anyway, so fast forwarding to Lucille Ball, she said one thing that she hopes when she gets older. This was when Lucille Ball was a young, voluptuous redhead. She said, I hope when I stop waving that my arm does. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to take that saying because I don't want to have those flappy things there. So anyway, believe me, they're there. I'm trying my best now that I've gotten out of the hospital from COVID to get myself back in shape. Thank you, Artist Matic, for joining in Instagram. Okay. So movement, all these different things we do with our bodies create cognitive reserve and bolster even non-movement capacities, such as general memory and problem-solving skills. Simply moving and interacting with our environment strengthens the amygdala hippocampal circuit. Oh, say that fast 3 times. Amygdala hippocampal. Okay. Even for learning and memory that are not associated with movement, walk on a rough trail and your memory for names may get better. Wow. Can you believe it? I'm going to walk on a trail and see if I can remember these people that I've been in the congregation with for a year. I'm like, what's your name? And like especially like people at my age, I'm a senior citizen. They get so insulted. Like I've met them like once or twice and they get so insulted if I don't remember their names. I don't know how I was ever a public school teacher. I was able to remember all my students' names. But for some reason, I don't know if it has anything to do with turning 70, but I'm like, what was your name? No, I've met you twice. Anyway, so I'm going to go walk on a trail, and that's going to improve my memory. That's what we're reading here in this book. Okay. The new VR, or virtual realities technologies, offer adventures and challenges, but they have yet to replace real-world embodied experience. And the real Lisan is in the house. Hey, she's got, or I don't know if you're at Lisan or there, Alison. I don't know. Are you one of the models in the Fab Over 40 contest, or are you one of those people that sells votes for money? Yeah, Laura says it's a tongue twister. Yeah, but the reason I'm asking Alison is I just finished the Fab Over 40 beauty contest. I decided for my 70th birthday I was going to do something like monumentally absurd, like join a beauty contest for the first time in my life. I was invited by this email, so I joined, and I couldn't believe it. I got accepted. I'm like, oh my God. So then I had to like wear a different outfit and take buku pictures, and it was exhausting to do that. Because I'm a DIY indie artist author, meaning I do it yourself. I do it because the piggy bank is more empty than full. But so anyway, I placed in the semifinals. I placed in the top 15. The following week, I placed in the top 10. The following week, I placed in the top 5. And then I started feeling like God was drifting away from me. Now, if you're not a God person, you're going to not understand this. But there is a feeling when you are a prayer warrior or pray daily or, whatever, however you communicate with God, the creator of heaven and earth, you get used to his shalom, or her, if you want to use the Shekhinah. And so when you're close to God, it's such a feeling of peace, inner peace as well as external. And so after I placed in the top 5 for this beauty contest, I started feeling God's spirit, his presence pulling away from me. And I'm like, And I thought maybe that's just the mood I was in. So I waited another couple days, and that distance from God, he just made it real clear to me, this is not what I want you to do. So I withdrew. Anyway, so I was this guy here, or girl, the Fab Over 40 on Instagram, you must be somebody that sells votes. Anyway, I dropped out. Okay, so let's get back to Scott's ideas here. They're echoed by Daniel Dennett, that for a robot or any other computer to be considered truly intelligent, to possess knowledge, it must interact with, manipulate, and experience its environment. This is not to say that quadriplegics and paralyzed people can't gain intelligence. It's just much more difficult. Far from a strictly physical limitation, then, movement disorders unfailingly affect our cognition. They affect our reasoning, our memory, and thought processes. So is that enough for you to get on the treadmill? Give me an amen in the chat if you're still with me. Indeed, it is known within senior living facilities. Now we're talking to my people. It is known within senior living facilities that the patients who move the least are at the greatest risk of cognitive decline. Amen, says Laura. Thank you. Come on, IG people. You have to give me some chat so I know you're still with me. Okay, movement disorders then don't just affect our locomotion. They affect our cognition. Older adults who find themselves slipping into cognitive decline and have a hip or knee replacement discover that they were not on the brink of dementia. They just weren't moving around enough to keep their brains sharp. Well, there you have it. If you are dealing with somebody with dementia, you need to get them moving off the chair. Take them for a walk. They just weren't moving around enough to keep their brains sharp. Part of the benefit of simply moving is healthy oxygenation, of the blood and brain, but more important, it feeds cognitive capacity. Of all the uses of music as medicine, none is more closely connected to biology than the treatment of movement disorders. And the Gray Lodge has joined me on IG. Even without us wanting or intending them to, the motor and movement pathways in our brain are activated by music. Music. That is why I don't look 70, because of music. Okay, all right, let's get back. Even without us wanting or intending to, the motor and movement pathways in our brain are activated by music. They synchronize to it, and our limbic system, which is where our emotions are, in case you didn't know that, our limbic system signals pleasure when they do. So that's why when you're singing, you feel better, right? Anybody like me as a teenager? I used to close my bedroom door and sing to Beatles records, and I'd have my little singing session, or at that time it was also Olivia Newton-John, and I'd have a little private singing session with my records and feel robust when I left the room until my mother once again assaulted me with her verbiage. Laura says the best music will keep up. I have cut off my screen. Will keep you young. You know it, Laura. You know it. Okay. 5 of the major movement disorders have been shown to be responsive to music therapy. Now, I'm going to list the diseases, and if you have one of these diseases, this is good news for you. Music therapy helps stuttering. So, Moshe Rabbeinu, if he had sung more or listened to music, he could have prevented his stuttering. Tourette syndrome, Huntington's disease, MS, aka multiple sclerosis, and Parkinson's disease. Research has been done to show that these named diseases respond positively to music. Okay. Oh, for 3 other major movement disorders, ALS, which is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or Lou Gehrig's disease, as well as focal dystonia and essential tremor, we still lack evidence for the effectiveness of music therapy. That doesn't mean music plays no role in treating the latter, but music therapies have been shown to decrease anxiety and depression in all 3, to stabilize or lift mood and yield improvements in self-control, in compliance with medical protocols, and in quality of life. Well, there you have it. I hope that excites you, and maybe you might want to get the book that I'm reading from. I heard there was a secret chord. Music, and I can't read the rest of the title, but the author is Daniel J. Levitin. And I'm going to be right back after this brief message.
I got this sweatshirt from my husband, and it's really nice and soft inside. And I like the design because it shows your support for Israel. It zips up in the front. It's nice and warm, and it's got a hoodie on it, so you can keep your ears warm. Check it out.
Okay, and so we're going to close with Rosh Chodesh Did You Know facts for those of you that follow the lunar calendar. Rosh Chodesh Kislev, which again began on sundown of my birthday, November 30th, and it ends December 2nd, Monday at sundown, can be 1 or 2 days long. It occurs on the first of the month, and not the calendar that we use in America. I'm talking about the lunar calendar. It occurs on the first day of the month and sometimes on the 30th day of the previous month. For example, if the previous month had 29 days, Rosh Chodesh Kislev is 1 day long. If the previous month had 30 days, ding, 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 Rosh Chodesh Kislev is 2 days long. So what does Rosh Chodesh literally mean? It means the head of the month. If you want to know about a little Hebrew, you can say, I know what Rosh Chodesh is. We're in it now. It's Kislev. Rosh means head, and Chodesh means month. I thought it meant holy, but apparently not. Okay, it's customary for women to not work. Oh my, this is people that honor the lunar calendar. Women traditionally gather for learning, rituals, and spirituality. So ladies in the house right now, give yourself a pat on the back because you are learning. Okay. Kislev is the 9th month of the Hebrew calendar, and the word root means trust and hope. Kislev. We're talking about Kislev. One more tidbit, and then we'll close today's teaching. In the Bible, Ezra, for those of you that are familiar with the prophet Ezra, he addressed the Jewish people in Jerusalem on the 20th of Kislev, around 457 BCE. And he told them to follow the Torah and end their interfaith marriages. How do you think that went over? Oh my gosh, I am actually in an interfaith marriage. My husband is a Jesus follower, and I am a Jew. So how does that blow your socks off? Okay, true story. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed this. I love Christians and Jews together, and even I never knew there was such a thing as an atheist Christian or an atheist Jew. Like, wait a minute, doesn't a Christian follow Jesus? So how can you be an atheist? I haven't figured that one out yet, okay? But I hope that you will buy some of my merch on Amazon because 'tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la, and because Christmas and Hanukkah are on the same days. Did you know that Christians, they only get gifts for one night, right? With Laura says that doesn't compute. Yeah, it doesn't really. So, but that's okay because we're all learning and we don't all know at the same level. But what I'm saying about shopping is Christmas, you have one chance to get the Christmas gift for your kiddies, right? Or whoever you're buying for. But on Hanukkah, there's 8 days of gift giving. So, especially you people that celebrate Hanukkah, please check out my merch on Amazon. It's not the easiest to find. My profile, do a search on Amazon. Debra, Debra, Cohen, Cohen, music. And if you can find my artist page on Amazon, you scroll down and you'll see some of my merch. I have 1,300 items, but they won't list them all for some reason. Artists, getting a bad rap there. They only get 150 postings. But check it out, and let's see, what else can I say? Happy Rosh Chodesh, and happy holidays. I thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this show and learned something. If you did learn something, please share it with somebody else that might be interested in this topic of movement and music for health. Thank you very much. God bless you and your families, and let us have peace on earth.
Share peace with these unique gifts written in English, Hebrew, and Arabic.